Hi, this is Yasuki Wolf. In the last video, we went over the basic setup for Arcatype. This time we're going to talk about the basic progression of the game and how to play. These rules are the same for 2-player games, 3-player games, or 4-player games. Decide who goes first with a short game of rock, paper, scissors. The player who goes first will start the game with 3 SP. SP is used to do one of 4 actions which is written on the playmat. You can spend 1 SP to use a unit skill, which will be written on the bottom of the unit card. All skills cost 1 SP. You won't have any units on the map during your first turn, so this action can't be done at this time. You can spend 2 SP to summon units onto the red summoning ring. Units in the summoning ring cannot yet take any action. Provided you can pay the SP cost, you are allowed to summon as many units to a summoning ring as you like. You can also spend another 2 SP to evolve units on the battlefield or in a summoning ring at any time you'd like. When you evolve a unit, replace the pre-evolved unit piece with an evolved unit piece, and flip the unit card over to the evolved form. You may also need to adjust the health counter at this time. By spending 3 SP, you can draw a card from the Arcana deck. Arcana cards have powerful spells that you can use at any time. In the video's example, the blue player will use all 3 of his SP to draw an Arcana card. When you draw an Arcana card, read the explanation given on the Arcana card to yourself, and place it next to your playmat, face down so that other players cannot see. You can activate this card at any time you'd like. After using his SP, the blue player doesn't have any more actions for this turn, so to end his turn he draws from the God deck. Read the explanation written on the God card aloud so that all other players can hear, and then place it face up in the discard pile. In this example, we've turned over the Abyss Goblin card. This is one of the Abyssal Demon cards. When an Abyssal Demon card is drawn from the God deck, if there is an Abyssal unit piece on the map matching the unit card drawn, the player who drew the card is then able to immediately move and attack with that unit piece. In this example, there are no units to attack, so the player simply moves the piece. All Abyssal Demons have a flight skill, and are able to freely move onto bottomless pit tiles or spike trap tiles. After the God deck phase, the next player's turn begins. The player going last always starts with 5 SP. The red gate player in this example uses 4 SP to summon 2 units onto the summoning ring. And again they end their turn by drawing from the God deck. This time the Dark Pandora, another Abyssal Demon, has been drawn. A Dark Pandora unit piece is not yet on the map, so instead of moving and attacking with the piece as in the last player's turn, the player who drew the card will summon a Dark Pandora onto the map. The player will pick any one of the Abyssal gates and summon the Abyssal unit on top of it. So now we move back to the blue player. Starting from the second turn, each player will from now on have a preparation phase at the beginning of their turn. There are 2 things that happen during the preparation phase. First, if there are any unit pieces on the summoning ring, those units will all be placed onto the player's gate. In this example, there are not yet any units in the summoning ring, so this action does not take place. The second thing that happens during the preparation phase is the player's SP is restored. At this time, during each player's preparation phase, their SP is set to 5. The blue player uses 4 SP to summon a Babanshi and a Minotaurus. And ending the turn again, we draw from the God deck, and this turn a spiked trap has been drawn. This is a field effect card. As written in the card's description, the player rolls the 6-sided dice and places a spiked trap tile atop the risk tile of the same number. When a unit enters the spiked trap tile, they receive 1 damage. But units with a defensive 1 can negate this effect. Moving on to the red player's second turn. During the red player's preparation phase, they move their summoned units onto their gate and restore their SP to 5. We now have units on the battlefield, so I'd like to explain unit actions. There are regular actions and special actions. A unit cannot do special actions after doing regular actions, nor are they allowed to do regular actions after doing special ones. I'll start off by explaining regular actions. Regular actions include movement, attack, and skill activation. Some skills require you to give up regular movement or attacks, so be sure to read the description on the unit card. The units summoned by this player have a movement rating of 1, so each of these units can move up to 1 space. A unit may attack after moving, but they are not allowed to move after attacking. Unit attack range is shown on the playmat. Units with a bow and arrow mark are long-range attack types. These units can attack one enemy unit 1 or 2 spaces away. So this fairy unit will be able to attack either the fire golem, or the hobbling, or one of these abyssal goblins. Units with a dagger mark are short-range melee attack types. So this Minotaurus can attack either the fire golem or the hobbling, any one unit within 1 hex. Units with a wand icon are magic attack type units. These units can attack all units within 1 hex, 2 spaces away. So this Wispy can attack both the fire golem and hobbling at the same time because they are both in the same 1 hex 2 spaces away, but the Wispy is unable to attack the goblin in the adjacent hex. Finally, units with a greatsword icon are short-range cleaving attack type units. So these units can attack all enemy units inside 1 hex up to 1 space away. In our example, this player's units are both short-range melee attack types and do not have any enemies in range. But the fire golem has a fire throw skill, which, by spending 1 SP, allows the unit to cause 1 damage regardless of any defense ratings to any 1 unit up to 2 hexes away. The red player will pay the cost of 1 SP to use Fire Throw and cause 1 damage to this Abyssal Goblin. The Abyssal Demon's information is written on the playmat. So checking the playmat, we see that the Abyssal Goblin has a health of 1. Thus, ignoring defense, the Abyssal Goblin takes 1 damage and dies. When a unit dies, they are removed from the map, but they may be summoned again in the future. With the remaining 4 SP, the red player will then evolve both of his units. That's all the actions the red player will do this turn, so again to end the turn, we draw from the God deck. The red player has drawn the Dark Pandora card again. Unlike last time, we do have a Dark Pandora piece on the map, so the player who drew the card is immediately able to move and attack with the Dark Pandora. Looking at the playmat, we see that the Dark Pandora has a movement of 2. So the red player will move the Dark Pandora 2 spaces to block the blue player's gate. Now the blue player's turn. For the preparation phase, we move the 2 units from the summoning ring to the player's gate, and the player's SP is restored to 5. Units cannot enter a hex occupied by an enemy unit with regular movement, so this Dark Pandora is blocking the blue player's way. But by giving up regular actions, a unit can also perform the special action of Jump. Jumping allows you to enter into spaces with enemy units, jump over spaces with enemy units, and jump over special effect tiles such as bottomless pits. So in this example, the blue player will jump to move over the hex occupied by the enemy unit, and they will then use 4 SP to evolve the 2 units. The blue player ends their turn and Charge is drawn from the God deck. This card increases movement by 1 for all units during the next player's turn. So the red player's Fire Golem's movement becomes 2, and the Hobbling's movement becomes 3. So the Fire Golem moves forward toward the middle, while the Hobbling dashes 3 spaces to enter into the Abyssal Gate tile below. The first player to seal off 2 Abyssal Gates is the winner of the game, so the red player definitely wants to seal off this Abyssal Gate. But sealing a gate falls into the special action category, and a unit cannot perform a special action after already performing regular actions. So it doesn't look like the red player is going to be able to seal off the gate this turn. So for the meantime, the fire golem will attack and kill the abyssal goblin, and the red player will use 4 SP to both summon and evolve the dryad. An abyssal goblin is drawn from the god deck, so the red player will use the remaining abyssal goblin to attack the blue player's Mabanshee unit. When calculating damage, first subtract the defender's defense rating from the attacker's attack rating. The abyssal goblin has an attack of 1, so any unit with a defensive 1 would take no damage from this attack. But it looks like Mabanshee has a defense of 0, so she takes 1 damage from the attack. The health counter is then turned down to 5. So now the blue player is going to use jump again to move his units into both the upper and lower abyssal gates. A unit cannot perform regular movement or attack after jumping, so be careful when you use these actions. So next with 2 SP we'll summon a fairy, and with 3 SP we'll draw an Arcana card. The turn ends and a teleport card is drawn from the god deck. This is another field effect card, so the 6-sided dice is rolled by the player who drew the card, and the teleport tile is placed on the same risk tile as the result of the dice roll. If a unit ends up in this tile, the dice is rolled again, and that unit is transported to the matching risk tile. There is only one teleport tile, so unlike other effect tiles which can be placed in more than one place, the position of the one teleport tile changes each time the teleport card is drawn. So now for the red player's turn. The hobbling unit has not done any regular actions this turn, so the red player would like to seal off the lower abyssal gate. But unfortunately a unit is unable to seal off a gate while an enemy unit is occupying the same space. So for now the red player will move the fire giant and kill off the blue player's minotaurs. When a player kills an opposing player's unit, they take 1 god card from the bottom of the discard pile and place it next to their playmat. This card will not be used during play, but will count as a victory point at the end of the game should a player fail to seal off 2 abyssal gates. The dead unit piece is removed from the map and placed back on the player's playmat. On that player's next turn they can use SP to re-summon the unit if they so choose. I mentioned it earlier that you can't seal an abyssal gate occupied by an enemy unit, but the fire giant has killed off the minotaur, and since the hobbling has not yet taken any regular actions, the red player is now free to seal off this gate. But wait, the blue player decides to counter this action by playing his Arcana card, the Hermit. The Hermit allows you to return enemy player units back to one of their player gates, thus preventing the red player from being able to seal off the lower abyssal gate. Arcana cards can be used like this to counter or stop the enemy player's actions. So gameplay continues in this fashion, and if one player seals off 2 abyssal gates, marking them with his own player gate tiles, the game ends at that point and it is that player's victory. However, if by the time the last card is drawn from the god deck, there is still no player who has been able to seal 2 of his gates, the game ends and victory points are counted to determine the winner. Each card received by killing an enemy player unit counts as 1 victory point. And any sealed abyssal gates count as 3 victory points. In this example, we see that counting the god deck cards, the blue player receives 3 victory points, and the red player receives 4 victory points. However, the blue player was also able to seal off 1 abyssal gate, giving them a total of 6 victory points. The red player had a total of 4 victory points, so in this example, the winner of the game is the blue player. That's all there is to the basic rules of the game. I'd like to show you an actual Let's Play run-through of the game in the next video. So, until next time, Yoroshiku.